this is our first integration test for our senior design project. Here we have the Teensy 3.1, the Bluetooth module HC06, and our SD adapter with an 8 gig memory card. And pretty much what the example we're going to be showing that all these components are integrated together is when I input a 1 on my phone, it'll send a signal to this Bluetooth telling the Teensy to read in voltage values from the power supply that will then be stored into the SD adapter, and then will also be outputted to our Android phone. So to show, it'll be like, so I insert 1 and it'll start showing like pretty much 0, and then as I move the power supply up, you can see that the value has changed and all these values are being stored into the memory card. And then if I were to press 0 on this phone, it'll stop reading in the voltage values, but it's still storing the values into the memory card. And then if I were to press 2, it will display the voltage, the average voltage. Right now, currently, the voltage is wrong because we found out that a line of code that we're using only takes in a byte at a time, so it's not adding up the voltages correctly. But that would be later fixed in next week's. With this SD adapter, we're able to like take it out and place it in our phone, as shown there, and we are able to read the values that were stored into the SD card, and these are like all the voltage values that we gathered as we were like testing our device. And then here our code shows like this area represents like how opening the file, the text file that we'll be writing our voltage values to. And then we have where we're taking in our user input as well as reading in a voltage value. And then here's where we select like if the user wants to like view the voltage outputs with their phone.
So this is the module to measure the current that is drawn by our outlet. We've modified this outlet right here in order to measure it. It's going into a part. It's called the ACS712. This is measuring the current, and it outputs a voltage that is between 0 and VCC. In our case, VCC is going to be 5 volts. We're powering that using our transformer right here. And this will be what outputs directly to our microcontroller, which is the Teensy 3.1. We're using an analog read, and it'll read this value, and I am currently working on code right now that will convert this 0 to 5 volts into a value, into a digital value that will represent how much current is being drawn. So I'm still in the process of writing up the code. It's giving me an approximation that's very close to 0. So we also have in series with the outlet an ammeter that is measuring out 0. So this will be the analog reading. We'll test out right now plugging in a light bulb. So the light bulb, it is now drawing 0.774 amps. If we go on over to our screen, after the calculations, it's getting close to it right now. It is at 0.661 average. If we plug in a second light bulb, right, is now reading at 1.557 amps. And over here on the module, it is reading 1.554 amps over there. So there is very close to the actual values. I just still need to calibrate it correctly. I've recorded the values on here using 1 bulb, 2 bulb, and 3 bulb, measuring it using the ammeter as well as my current goal right now is just to learn how to calibrate it correctly on the Arduino software. And this is just a little bit of work of how I'm actually taking the sample rate. I'm just dividing the sine wave up into different intervals, measuring the instantaneous current at each one of these intervals, summing it up, and then taking the average of this to get your current.